This is the LoinersView podcast.
This is the LoinersView podcast.
Hello and welcome to the first edition of LoinersView of 2021. Welcome along. It has been a while. We do apologise. New year, new start. With us this week, we have three people, legends of the fans' world. First of all, we have Jordan Walker, our Cumbrian legend.
Hey, Loz.
Hiya, mate. And with us this week, we've got a new person, a brand new, who's never been on, Mr. James Stead. Welcome.
Cheers, Loz.
And with us this week, we have, well, he was on last year and he was brilliant. And his podcast is genius. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Mike Haigh. Haigh, lad, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I feel flattered to be called a legend, but thank you.
Well, there you go, mate. You know, we've kind of done a bit of podcast loving, a couple of times. So it's only fair that we get you back and you're our first guest this year. So welcome along. Right, gentlemen, we start 2021. What can we say? Well, first of all, 2020. Now, let's have a little look back. We can talk about the highs and lows, the best bits, the worst bits. Gentlemen, 2020, what was your highlight and low light? We'll do it like pick one of each. And what was it? We'll start with you, John.
From a Leeds perspective, the Challenge Cup win obviously has to be the one. It was quite.
Given your background,
we made great progress all season. I thought. Obviously, I was disappointed to lose to Catalans in the playoffs, which is probably going to be the low light. But if you sit and look at the season as a whole, probably losing in the first round of the playoffs is probably about where we are at the moment in terms of our development. So that's what made the cup win extra special for me, was the fact that it was probably 18 months, 2 years ahead of schedule. I think got to take it as a massive bonus, and it was great. I think everybody will remember it as well because of the circumstances. The fact that I think you'll always remember where you watched that one. So it'll be one that, with it being such a great game and dramatic finish as well, I think I'll probably remember that one as long as I live.
What was yours, James?
I think George said it, but I think overall, I know obviously our season kind of petered out with obviously the Catalan game and stuff, but blooding some of the youngsters when we had to back up a lot and have short turnarounds and that, it's boded well in a way. Obviously, they need game time with the reserves, and that's a bit naff at the moment, and they could easily end up on scrap heap. So giving them game time, we have got some quality coming through. Obviously, Broadbent, Jared O'Connor looks a good one. So I think if we can obviously challenge, and even if we do come up short in 2021, it's only going to bode well for hopefully the next few years if we can get a few more of these playing regularly. And who knows, class of obviously 2004 that we had with that golden generation, and that might have a new one in a few years. Probably won't now I've said that, but
well, that's it. Now you've just put the burden on it there, mate. I'd say that. And just for the record, everybody, James is currently not sat in Headingley, so if anybody does want to ask how come James looks as though he's there, he's not. He's just like that.
On his daily exercise.
I know that's he's got on his Boris bike and ended up at Headingley. Yeah, that's it. So Haigh, right, what was your highlight and low light of the Rugby League season?
Oh, Halifax beating Sheffield in one of our 4 championship games. Oh yeah, for sure. It's a weird one. As I say, 2020 is one of those weird years. I'm glad he touched on the cup final, because it's the cup final with no fans is just awful, and it must have been bittersweet for you lot to win's brilliant, but not to have the chance to be there is just awful. But you're right on what you're saying, John. It was a classic. It was a classic cup final. I know during lockdown the BBC did a lot of classic cup finals, and that definitely belongs with them. I just think, if I'm going to say a highlight, I'd say actually the resumption of Super League and actually getting the games on and actually getting them done. It was a bit farcical at some point. You didn't know who were going to play who who are going to be in the whole Catalan logistics point of view, but to actually get a season completed, a cup final played, and a grand final played is just testament to all the teams and shows that rugby league can actually, when we put our minds to it and work together, we can actually, we're a pretty decent sport. And if I was to pick one moment, I'm sorry, it's not going to be the cup final. It's going to be the grand final. The grand final is, even if you take away the last 5 seconds, I thought it was the best game of the season by far. It was an amazing game. But then that finish was just incredible. And yeah, it was just unbelievable.
In a weird way, both finals going down to the wire is kind of testament to how that season panned out. They were both, obviously, what were it, the grand final, were it 2 points that were the winning margin in the end? Just ridiculous, wasn't it, entertainment-wise? They were both cracking games, whether you were a fan of the 4 teams or a neutral.
It was such a shame that the fans weren't allowed in, because for me, I can't remember a season where both finals have delivered quite like that. I mean, I'd probably go out on a limb and say the grand final's possibly the best game of rugby league I've ever seen, just in terms of sheer drama and you know, just how brutal it was, and you know the fact that there must have been sore for weeks after that. You know, it was everything that you want from rugby league. If you were going to show a game to someone who you wanted to get into the sport for the first time, for me, that is the perfect one to show them. It was just incredible, really. And obviously, people give Super League a hard time and say it's not at the standards of NRL and Origin and things like that. And to me, it absolutely was.
The issue that I think really, and it's not even an issue, the way that Sky did the grand final, I thought was probably the best presentation they've done for a rugby league game 20 years, possibly. 10, I don't know. Yeah. But literally, the way they focused on it, they used KC in the best possible way, was just incredible. And let's be honest, that was a great advert in such a weird time then as well. It was almost like, this is our product. We've got it out there. This is for everyone to see. And the ending, I mean, it was everywhere. It was on BBC News, Sky. You know, it was literally talked about. And that is something our sports needed, hasn't it, really?
Absolutely. I think that
story for sure. And it's frustrating in one way, because you just think, like, when Sky get it right, they're brilliant. And fair enough, it was just for the showpiece, and you've got to make it special for the showpiece final and that. But when they get it right, they're brilliant. And you've got to give big reps to Super League for choosing Hull, because when it was announced when Hull was going to be the venue, I'm sure everyone here, me included, like went, Hull?
Yeah.
Why? And then Robert Elson, or whoever it was who announced it, kind of said, the things that we've got planned, Hull is the perfect arena for it. And it will prove right. And you're absolutely right, Laura. I don't think it was just because we're in a lockdown either. It was because of the game it was, and what you said, Jordan, the brutality of it. And you had like Tony Bellew live tweeting and loads of other celebs, loads of blue ticks going, oh, this is brilliant. It's a good news story.
It is. And it's slightly disappointing that off the back of it, we got less TV money from Sky. That was obviously, you take if you have to pick faults with anything, that was quite disappointing. Now, obviously, I understand that there's less money to go around at the minute because of the current climate and things, but I would have liked them off the back of such a dramatic final to be able to negotiate a TV deal that was a bit better value, maybe. But at the current moment, I guess it needs must.
Well, the question is it maybe us that sees the price of our products rather than what everybody else does? I know that sounds like it's a bit of a loaded question, but you look at Sky, they've offered us this amount of money. Now, given that they're in a situation where, let's be honest, they're cutting costs, do we know if we've approached anybody else, or was it a case of, we'll just go with Sky? I mean, that's the thing. Have we sold ourselves short, do you think?
We don't know if there's a market for it.
Good point.
Well, you look at obviously the Union now. BT have got a whopping contract with it, every game on every weekend, and I caught a bit of it at the weekend. Coverage seems spot on for it. If they can tap into league, who knows?
It's a weird one, isn't it? It makes you think, did we go a bit short on that? But right, here's another question: Who was your star player of 2020?
For Leeds or in general?
In general, we'll go with in general. I see. This is a good one. I think this could be an intrigue.
For me,
there's a lot of interesting faces here, isn't there? I can see.
In terms of sheer entertainment and who I've enjoyed watching the most throughout the season, I think Bevan French is probably probably right up there. I mean, it's a real shame there's been no fans in to watch his performances sort of last season because his box office, he'll put bums on seats when we're allowed back in. I'm sure of that. He's great to watch.
That's my vote. To be fair, what do you guys reckon, James? What do you think?
I agree with George. I thought Bevan French were next level on it. To be fair, I mean, you look at that Wigan backline; it is quite frightening. We've got French and Hardaker who can obviously play full back. French is half back, sticking Zach in at centre.
Got Jai Field there next year.
Jai Field coming in. They've just got a lot of talent there. Jackson Hastings as well. It's quite frightening to think what they'll do this season in a way, but I'd probably say Bevan French based on last season were brilliant. Just what Super League needed, to be fair, for someone to step up and be consistent every week.
Were you guys surprised at Paul McShane getting the Man of Steel? Haigh, what was your thoughts on that?
I'll just agree with all you lot, but Bevan French is box office, isn't he? He's like Sean Long back in the day. He's just, you don't know what he's going to do, and he can just light up a game like that, and yeah, he's brilliant. I think Paul McShane was a worthy winner of Man of Steel. If anything, it's been too long in coming, and with questions like this, you kind of think, how do you determine who the player of the year is? Like, because I'd back Aidan Caesar, because you take Aidan Caesar out of the Huddersfield team. Huddersfield finished nowhere near. They're absolutely rubbish, Huddersfield. You take Bevan French out of the Wigan team, they're still a pretty good team. They'll still get over the line kind of thing. So it kind of depends on that. Paul McShane has been probably the most consistent player for the last 5 years in Super League, on with Lights of Roby. And I think he's gone under the radar somewhat. It's a bit of a running joke, like, oh, he's gonna win all the fan points and all that sort of. Is it the Albert Goldthorpe medal thing?
Yeah, the League Express one. Yeah,
it's a running joke. But at the end of the day, it's fans will moan about how the Man of Steel's weighted, no matter how it's done, because weren't the voting system changed about 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was something bizarre. It was on, well, it points in like the matches and stuff weirdly like that all the time, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm a big fan of Paul McShane, and I was. If you were to put a gun to my head, I'd have said Bevan French, because, like you all say, he's box office. But when he got announced, I was like, yes, I'm glad he's won.
Yeah, you think the last 2 years has proven that the person that wins a Man of Steel, you're looking for maybe like a big fish in a small pond sort of thing that really stands out. So they're going to get one or 2, 3 points every single game. So there's money to be made in the betting markets for that.
Are we doing your betting tips again this year?
Well, I backed Jackson Hastings at 40s. I won the year that he won it, but up until Danny Brough got injured, he was 100 to 1 to win it, and he was miles ahead. Because he picks up 1 or 2 points every single game. That's the type of player that tends to stand out in this new vote system, which, by the way, is miles better than the last one where the players did it and everyone voted for Gadwin Springer.
Hey, Gadwin Springer's ace. Fax new boy.
I genuinely think he got 15 votes one year.
I mean, that's 15 too many. But no offence to any people involved, but yeah. I was going to say, it's kind of with obviously how it ended last year, it kind of made you instantly think, what's 2021 going to be like in terms of like the quality of the product, and also like who's going to stand out? Because as a Leeds fan, you always say, well, I want to go to Leeds, but I think we're going to be the standout boys in this season. Don't get me wrong, I think Saints are going to be up there, and obviously Leeds will probably have a good attempt. We'll see. But I think Wigan have to be the standout favourites, don't they?
I agree.
Warrington. I'll be that guy. I'll be that guy. It's always their year, but yeah, I will. If there is ever a time for Warrington to win Super League, it must be now. They've managed to keep with it. They've got Austin. They've got Inglis coming over. It all ties up, and if they don't, then Steve Price needs sacking, or they need to test what's in the water in Warrington, because there's some bad juju going on there.
If you look at with Inglis coming over to Warrington, though, like, even if he's 4 stone heavier and only 60% of what he is, he'll rip Super League up.
Yeah.
Well, the question is, where they're going to play him, though. Are they going to go with the tried and tested Warrington method of player completely out?
Centre, what?
Where do you reckon, Steady?
Centre, surely.
you reckon?
They've got Toby. Is it Toby King at one side
King,
Yeah, he's good, yeah.
and then Inglis at other outside? You've got Charnley and who's the other winger that Wire off?
Lynham.
Yeah, that's it. It's going to be intriguing because, I mean, let's be honest, he can still play fullback. He can still play fullback in Super League. I don't care what anyone says.
Ratchford, Ashton.
I see Ashton,
Inglis.
yeah, quality.
So they're probably going to stick him in at centre, aren't they? And just let
their firepower.
Rashford do whatever they want.
Doesn't score at least 15 tries in a season when you've got Rashford, Austin. Yeah. It's Widdop as well.
See, though, why we're saying this, we're almost thinking that Warrington are going to be like the winners already. It's almost like, no, we can't have this. No offense to Warrington.
It is the running joke, but like if you're on about 2021, then you've got to include Warrington in your list.
Yeah. Another one that people mention often, it never materialises, like obviously Watto will probably improve. Huddersfield, and then you've got Hull as well, which was the one I was referring to just before. You know, you've got a new coach coming in there. They've got players who I don't think were probably putting their all in every week last year, and if they did, they would probably go close. I think it should be a really competitive league.
Question is about Hull. How much is what sort of coaching commodity is Brett Hodgson going to be? Do we think he's going to be a good one, or could he be out of the job middle of the year? I mean, he's working with a chairman who is. I mean, it could be that situation.
There's so much pressure, isn't there, on Hull to do well. It's absolute Rugby League mad city, and the quality Hull have got, they should be doing a lot better. But I've said before to people, and it's like with the appointments of like Ian Watson and Richard Marshall for Salford, they're my Super League team. Just because someone, and you mentioned about Ferner, just because someone is a good Australian NRL coach, don't mean they're going to be a good Super League coach. They're two different games. They're two completely different games. And just because you're good at one, don't mean that you're good at the other. And if Hodgson does well, fair income, as you say. But if not, you could have another Dave Ferner on your hands.
And we don't want another Dave Ferner on any club's hands, let's be honest, I think.
You'd love that. You're Leeds fans. You don't want Hull to do well.
Right, can I just say, well, no, I don't mind Hull, I'll be honest, you know, but for me, I'm not a fan, but I don't mind, you know, Hull KR, no, actually, Hull KR, if you look how many people they've signed this year, I mean, they've got rid of loads, we know, but like, Ryan Hall, I mean, he's another one, I mean, Ryan Hall, God bless him, Leeds legend, it just, to me, it feels a bit weird seeing him back in Super League. I know he didn't do a huge amount in NRL, but to me, I kind of can't work out if it's going to be a success or not for Hull KR with him. What do you reckon?
I wonder if they'll move him inside off the wing. Because have you seen the size of him in training during pre-season? And I don't mean that derogatory. He's absolutely stacked. Like I don't know if his speed's maybe gone slightly as he's getting older and he's had injuries. Maybe it's worth potentially moving him inside a little bit.
Well, it could. I mean, let's be honest. He used to take the ball in, didn't he? Quite a lot in drive.
Yeah, extra
Smith played him in the back row a few times.
It could be a good shout, that actually. That's a really.
Would you not have had him back at Leeds? Was there not a first refusal for Leeds to have him back, or would you not have him back at Leeds? Was his time done?
Oh, that's a good question.
Were we possibly offered him after Briscoe had extended?
Yeah,
because it was around the same time, I think. Not sure.
If you think about it, from about 2015, 2016, he can't. I mean, after 2015, I think that was possibly peak Ryan Hall, and then it kind of he meandered a bit, didn't he? I don't know.
I think a couple of years before that, the 2013, 2014 Ryan Hall, when we first signed Joel Moon. I know, obviously, Yeah, that partnership.
Haigh, that's a really good question. Actually, you've caught me out here, mate. I can't. I don't know.
I should do my own podcast, shouldn't I?
We'll come on to that in a bit.
It's a good point though, because like you could for instance, to throw another lead spanner in the works, you look at Callum Watkins. He went over to NRL and did little to note with Gold Coast. He's come back to Salford and he's been a revelation. He looks as close to his best than he did the last 2-3 years at Leeds. It looked like he was stagnating at Leeds, really, a bit. But
Well, the problem with his last season at Leeds, you could tell, obviously, he had the Australian move. And he was captain, and it didn't seem to work.
Right.
And it was very much a case of he was trying, but there were points when he was getting chased down. He just looked.
I feel like because they'd made him captain, he sort of rushed back from his injury as well, and he shouldn't have done. And I think he was playing when he was nowhere near fit as well.
Yeah.
So, I'm his biggest fan.
Warrington, he were trying to play. He did play that first game of the season, didn't he? When Austin made his debut for Wire, and he was so off the pace, you could tell that he were about 2.5, 3 months too early of coming back.
So I think he's a great player. He's one of my favourite ever Rhinos players. I think if he carries on the form like he has, when he's worked on his fitness again for the whole pre-season, it could end up getting in the England squad quite easily whenever the World Cup is.
I think he will, yeah.
I mean, let's not talk about World Cup and Callum Watkins. It'll bring bad memories for Jordan. Okay, let's move on from there.
Mind you, though, it was an ankle tapping cup final, which if one of your guys had got to him, it'd have been a different result.
That's a very good point. Do you know? In a weird way, I actually have taken him back. I think with Watkins, but I would have made him captain. I think I would have taken him back. I think. Say I would have. Yeah, I'm going to say I would have personally.
Would that mean having Newman when he's fit and Watkins and Conrad at second row then, or off at bench?
I'd probably put
Conrad back end of season.
Yeah, do Conrad second row. I would have done. Yeah.
Well, Conrad, he put something on his Instagram the other week with hashtag ball playing prop. Now I don't know if he's winding everybody up, but is he going to move inside once Newman's fit? Because obviously Sutcliffe was absolutely brilliant when he moved into the centres. So if you've got Newman and Sutcliffe in the centre next year, and him as a 20-minute stint, destructive second rower, I'm pretty cool with that, to be honest.
You know what? It would actually make sense putting him off the bench doing that, because we are short of one forward, whether it be a prop or second prop. It could do that job. I think you're right, George. I think you're completely right there. I think he could do it quite well.
We might be short of 2 forwards if Tavano doesn't get this visa.
Well, apparently, according to Peter Smith today, as of Thursday, the 14th of January, it's okay. Apparently, it's okay. So, well, fingers crossed. I know. I was going to say, otherwise we've got problems. But anyway, no, we should be okay.
Yeah. Whilst we're on the subject, it's a big loss for us was Ava, actually. I thought after the lockdown, he was fantastic for us. Really gutted to see him go, to be honest. I thought he offered a lot.
Yeah.
I think him and Mike Haigh really stepped it up after resumption.
2 forwards, unbelievable, really.
I think the thing is with Mike Haigh, he was fantastic after the lockdown, and it's easy to forget he's still only about 23. So he's about, as a prop, he's probably about 7 years off his prime. I dread to think how good he'll be.
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's to see how they're going to go this in 2021, I think. Well, hopefully in 2021, we should have the championship back. Fingers crossed. And this year's championship is, it looks being absolutely class on paper. Let's be honest, you could have about 6, 7, even 18 potentially battling out for a place in 2022 Super League. And Haigh, who's with us this week, is a big Halifax fan. And
guessed.
I know, we never guessed. I know we've already mentioned that. But so, Haigh, obviously Jordan here also from Whitehaven, so he knows as well. How much you guys, and also Steady, you watch it as well, so we're all in this together. How much are you looking forward to the championship this year?
Massively. Just any sort of rugby league. Just it'll do. It'll do. But yeah, championship as well. It's been, our last game was on the 8th of March last year, which is just bonkers. Absolute bonkers. Don't get me wrong, it was right to end the season. I'm not saying he's bad in that respect. And by the time we get back on the field, it will be over a year. But it's just going to be so unpredictable because you don't know how teams are going to be. There's been loads of changes. We've had loads of changes. It's pretty much a brand new team. We've got a brand new spine in our lot. Lee have gone up to Super League, who had by far the strongest squad in the league. And you mentioned there's 5, 6, 7 teams who could be in with a shout. It's just so unpredictable, and yeah, I'm proper looking forward to it. Don't ask me to pick a winner though, because
I was just about to ask, who is your predictive? If you take
not Halifax,
glasses off,
not Halifax.
Okay, not Halifax.
I am happy for the Panthers. Seems a bit weird saying that. To go under the radar. I'm so glad. Like when the application to go up to Super League as a 14 team, we had to apply because we've got to show that ambition. Because if we don't apply, you can't attract players and that sort of thing. But I'm glad that we dipped out and let everyone else go for it, because it just means that next year no one expects us to do well. And as an Halifax fan, we're the best when we're the underdog. And yeah, I'm just chuffed. As I say, hopefully it's a good season. Hopefully the crowds can get in when they can. There's probably, weirdly, there's more chance of fans getting in the Championship than there are in Super League, which is quite a weird statement there. But yeah, I'm just proper looking forward to it. I'm sure you guys would agree that any sort of rugby league that starts is only going to be a good thing.
And what podcast do you have, by the way, if you want to give it a plug? See, I'm helping you out, mate.
Yes, it's Talking the Facts of Life. It's on all podcast channels. I've spent this last lockdown trying to get all the podcast stuff on there. So if you search for it on any Apple Podcast, Spotify, all that sort of jazz, on Anchor, yeah, it's all on there. And yeah, if you go back in last summer, you might recognise a Leeds fan that was on there who had a little bit more hair than he does at the moment.
Yeah, I don't know where it's gone. It's blown off in the wind somewhere, he says. Oh, but yeah, I do think, we do need the Championship going, because let's be honest, don't get me wrong, Super League's brilliant, but the Championship has got some absolutely fantastic teams in that league who literally provide great entertainment. And let's be honest, they produce a lot of great talent as well. You can't doubt that. So we do hopefully need it. And also Newcastle as well. They could be an interesting one to see.
Yeah, they've had a lot of money thrown at him. And they say that it's so close. And like you mentioned the talent, we mentioned quite a few before, Matty Ashton for Warrington. I'm going to big up an Halifax player. I don't care if I'm going to shoehorn this in, but Brandon Moore, when he went to Huddersfield, was just inhuman effort to basically, like I mentioned before, our last game was on the 8th of March, and I think it was 6 months, and he's a grafter. He's a roofer. He's up and down ladders all day, proper manual labour and stuff. And he gets the call from Huddersfield, and I think he averaged on all his games, he averaged over 60 tackles a game and played God knows how many minutes. And he were topping all their fitness charts. Absolutely daft.
Because he's a Cumbrian, good genes.
He is. Yes, he's a Mara. He's a high fast lad, though. He knows where his side bread's buttered. But that was the worry. Like, it's for a Championship team to have players who want to play for Super League. Absolutely fine. We're never going to stop in the way because we know our place and that sort of thing. But the worry was that we knew how good a player he was, and if everyone else in Super League found that out, it's like, here's lots of money. We want to take your player to come and play for Super League, but our contract was signed, and he's the beneficiary of the reserve system not really working, because he was at Cass, and Cass got rid of their reserve grade. He found his way to our reserve. He's worked his way up, and he's the best hooker in the Championship.
It's certainly an interesting one. Been to a couple of Championship games over the years, and the standard of rugby is actually really high, I think. I know some people do tend to go, oh, it's only below Super League, but some of the quality and entertainment is so much better than Super League. Yes,
some of the teams have recruited so well for next season as well. You look at some of the big names that have been signed by the likes of Toulouse. I think York will be bang there. I think they've spent a lot of money and got some really good players through the door. It should be really competitive games. I was just saying before, some of the guys like Whitehaven signed 5 Australians for next year, so I don't know where they've got the money, but they have. Interestingly, one of them is the younger brother of Josh and Brett Morris, so I believe he's about 20, something like that. So didn't know there was another of them. So if he's quartered as good as them two, he should be exciting to watch in the Championship.
He's going to be an absolute tank, isn't he? He'll be an absolute unit. If
Well, I've
he's
seen
anything like
videos,
his
and
fitness.
he's rapid like them. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, Whitehaven managed to get Greg McNally back through the doors as well,
The legend.
which is a really good
Yeah.
signing. So like, even they'll be considered to be towards the bottom end, but when you look at their squad, they'll probably be hoping to maybe push on and see if they could challenge towards mid-table. So I think there'll be a lot of games that are decided by not a lot of points.
Could
It's
they?
never
That's
easy
what
going
you want.
on.
You don't want blowout scores every week.
No, you don't. Could we see? I mean, where do you think you had the same? This may sound a really stupid question, but Super League or Championship, which is going to be more entertaining? Do you reckon?
Thinking that
Does it
there'll be less
matter?
blowouts, there'll be less hammerings in the Championship.
Yeah, well, it could be. Yeah, I mean, it could be some interesting ones. Let's be honest. Well, shall see. One of the things that is due to happen at the end of this year is a certain World Cup. What do we reckon? Are we reckon it's going to happen, or is this a no? What do you think?
They're going to want fans in, aren't they? And the longer that we can't even go to Super League games, they're not going to host a World Cup behind empty venues. Either there's no point to it.
Do you move
Doom
it
and
back?
gloom.
Doom and gloom merchants. I know.
Doom and gloom.
What do you reckon?
Positivity. He'll be right by then. It's got to happen. It just has to happen. If it's reduced crowd, it's just got to happen.
Jordan's face right now. What you?
2 words: Boris Johnson. Leaving it there. We'll be stuck here this time next year, hoping for the start of 2022 season.
Out by then. He'll be out by then.
Part of me thinks it's going to get moved to the same time next year. But then again, it would be because it's a football World Cup, so it'll be up against each other, which I know it's a different kettle of fish.
It's winter next year as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so it could really be a weird thing of, are we going to play off against it? Is there like an alternative competition? It would get lost a bit, I think.
It's in my opinion, it's got to happen for the greater good of the game, and I completely agree with you, Steady. The fans have got to be, and I've got my ticket sorted and that, but it's the perfect chance for Rugby League to put itself on the world stage, because there's nothing else happening. There's no other competition. There's nothing there. If it gets moved, it's just going to play second, third, fourth fiddle to potential Olympics again, because still don't know if Olympics going to happen this year. Football stuff, that sort of thing. Lions tour that could be delayed as well this year. We don't know. Yeah, let's believe in the system. Let's hopefully everything happens. But yes, and I'm going to put it out there that even if there's no fans there, it still should go ahead, because it needs exposure. It needs to be the showcase of this sport is good enough to have an international competition, because the down players in the past have said, oh, Rugby League, just them 62 corridor game. There's no international game. That's why people watch Union. What statement would it be to actually have a World Cup tournament? Granted, rubbish if we without the fans, but I just think it's for the greater good, really.
The interesting aspect is, if you think of it, if we do get it going, and even if it's not with crowds, the publicity behind it. I mean, we've already got TV adverts out there. It's almost set. We've set the groundwork and set the seeds. It almost makes sense even to hold it behind closed doors without fans, doesn't it?
They've done a fantastic job with the marketing so far. They've done a great job. I've never seen Rugby League on TV adverts as much as what it has been. I mean, are you lot signed up to the newsletter?
Yeah.
Do you ever get them like, tickets to sell them fast? This is your last chance to buy them. I'm like, well, it's not really, lads, is it? But if you didn't know that, you'd be right in there and getting them. So I hope fans are allowed in, and I hope they're rewarded with the attendances they deserve, because they've done a brilliant job in so far in the promotion of it.
I mean, I remember the 2013 World Cup, and the way that was promoted was just brilliant. Well, not in terms of like getting it out there, and there were promotions for tickets. And I mean, let's be honest, if you remember the games, there were hardly any games where it was empty in any stadiums. So if they'd done it right, we could have full grounds for every game, pretty much. Hopefully.
They could have. You've got the link up with Prince Harry there and things like that now as well, which is good for the sport. Like, if he's allowed to come, he'll probably be there. So, it would be stuff like that. I mean, he doesn't really go many spots now. So if he's on the news, that's going to generate things for us and everything, So fingers crossed it'll get what it deserves.
The critical point as well is that broadcasters and all these companies and stuff, they're not bothered about people in the ground. It's about viewing figures. And if there's no other event to touch it, BBC have already said they're showing all of England's games, and all the broadcast deal that they've got is really, really good.
But, showing every game, BBC, aren't they? They've got every single game that's going to be online, or at least the major ones
every
are on
single
TV.
game live, so you can watch it on like BBC Sport, Red Button, and that. Yeah. All of England games are live on BBC One nationwide. It's not just in regions or whatever, and I just think that could be more important. And the way you've hit the nail on the head there, Jordan, really well. That the marketing for it's been brilliant. That young kid in the classroom with all the Zoom calls and stuff, and
She's
then
brilliant.
The way that they announce where all the host cities are and the celebrities getting involved in that, it's building very, very nicely. And as I say, to waste all that effort to move it would just be a massive step backwards, in my opinion.
It's going to be an interesting decision either way, and I won't like to be the person who's making a call to decide where it goes ahead or not. I think that is one job I would not like to have in any way, so we shall see. Finally, before we go, gentlemen, we'll talk about one person. Well, two people, Kevin Sinfield and Rob Burrow. The brilliant 7 for 7 campaign, which was, I mean, let's be honest, guys, one of the greatest Rugby League associated things I think we've ever had, and the amount of coverage that was on.
I'd say the exposure for the game is just, it was just mental every morning, putting breakfast on and seeing Kev's journey and all the weathers that he were running in and nothing fazed him. Just magnificent effort from him.
It was just one of those mind-blowing moments. And how highly has his profile gone, do you reckon, Sinfield's?
Well, he already was a god to us, wasn't he? But, just
okay.
I can't say anything that he hasn't said. To be honest, just to actually do that. I mean, I couldn't run down to the end of the street and back, and to run 7 marathons in bloody. It's just incredible, isn't it? And, you know, like we had great times watching that team, and it's obvious that they had a special bond, and it's still there now. And it was amazing to watch, really.
Talking about my Rugby League highlight, that would be it. I know I said about Rugby, like stuff on the pitch, but to show what an amazing sport that we have and the people that are involved in it, to do what they've done and what Sinfield's done it's just absolutely bonkers. To do a marathon, first of all, is just mad enough. Like you mentioned, Jordan, I won't be able to run down into my street at all. To do 7 marathons in 7 days is just mental. To do 7 marathons in 7 days round Saddleworth, the hilliest part of the country, is mental enough. To do 7 marathons in 7 days in Saddleworth in December is just a whole nother level for it. And the biggest takeaway from it that I've got is that people who don't watch Rugby League or anything like that just got involved. Like people I work with, I've got no interest in Rugby League, but they were sharing Kevin Sinfield's story, all that sort of stuff. It's awful what's happened to Rob Burrow. It's heartbreaking, and I'm sure you guys will feel it even more than myself, and I've shed many a tear watching stuff like that. It's awful, but what Sinfield and everyone else has done is just shown what good can be done, and focus on that rather than focus on the tragedy of what's happening, to show, right, let's all come together, let's raise as much money as possible, but show that even the worst circumstances in a lockdown and this illness going on, to show that as a sport and as a society we can do some good.
I think it definitely improved. Go on, John. Sorry, I interrupted you, mate.
Some of the fundraising activities, as well as that, have just been amazing, haven't they? Really, to generate so much publicity and awareness for the condition. I mean, we'll all have a good day at the races when Burrow 7 runs, won't we? I think that's an amazing thing for them to set up. It's just been, the whole thing just makes you proud to support the club and to have been fans of these lads that are involved. It's fantastic.
It's certainly been a well-worked campaign, hasn't it? I mean, you just hope that, I mean, it has helped the M&D Association as well. It's been a fantastic thing, I think, organised by, Kevin and all that group. And apparently there might be something else in the pipeline. I don't know what else. So it just makes you wonder how far this could go, really.
It does. I think one of my lasting memories from it was a few days later when Boris was in Parliament and Greg Mulholland asked him that question, and Courtney called him, yes, Kevin Sinfield, yeah, and, the speaker went, that's Sir Kev to you, Boris, and he went, oh yeah, sorry, stop.
Yes, Lindsay Hoyle.
Do you think he genuinely thinks that he's a Sir?
Well, the thing, I mean, that were it. It's all that. Hang on a minute, is he getting made a Sir in a few days' time? And then when the announcement came, it was like, oh, Rob's been in the NBA. It was like, oh, but he's got to become a Sir at some point, hopefully. If we should nominate him. I know you can nominate him, can't you? That's how you do it. So maybe that could be a campaign. Who knows? I don't know.
You've got plenty of spare time, Loz. You can get him nominated.
Oh, there's not many jokes for that anyway. Right, gentlemen. Well, that's the end of tonight's show. And big thank you to our very good friend, Mr. Haigh down there. Cheap, you are more than welcome on. In fact, what we'll do is we'll try and get you on before the start of the season. We'll do a little previewy thing then, so you'll be more than welcome on then, my friend.
Great. So, are you free on a Thursday night in July, Haigh?
2022. Yeah.
Well, hopefully March. I mean, they've said March the 20-something, haven't they, this evening on the. So fingers crossed we'll be there. So, well, thank you very much, and thank you very much to Jordan. You are, as usual, you're on and steady as well. Hopefully, you'll be on nearly every week. Hopefully.
Do my best.
Anyway, thanks very much, guys. And remember also as well, please follow Attica Rhinos, the Greek Rugby League team, on Twitter. They will thank you forever for it. Anyway, good night, everyone. Thank you.
Cheers.